Can you tell I'm exhausted?
I'm losing my mind, I think.
I don't feel human right now. Like I have nothing to give left.
My brain is fried.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Ana Clara, and today we're gonna do my first ever 24 hours readathon. I will warn you from the get-go that I will not be forcing myself to stay awake through these 24 hours. I simply cannot do that. I wouldn't be able to function, I wouldn't be able to read, and I wouldn't be able to really absorb any of the things that I'm reading. Therefore, I will be sleeping. So I'm sorry if that offends you. I'm sorry if in your head that goes against the rules of 24-hour readathon, but I appreciate my sleep. And I'm also doing this during a work week, so it's not like I can just not sleep. With that being said, I'm still very excited to attempt this because I consider myself to be someone that reads fairly slowly, and I've never really tracked how much I am able to read in a certain amount of time. So I'm very curious to see how much I can read in 24 hours. So what I decided to do is to set up a timer on my phone for 24 hours and run that timer whenever I am reading. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do this in 2 days, so 12 hours one day and 12 hours another day, but I might have to do it in 3. We will see how it's going to go. So far, I am at 21 and 46 hours, so this is how much I still have to read. So I still have a lot of hours to go, and it is currently 11:50 a.m. So maybe hoping I'll be able to read for 12 hours today is being way too optimistic, but you know, you gotta shoot for the stars. I did get a head start this morning. As you can tell, I've read for about 3 hours already. I started reading Bride by Ellie Hazelwood, and this is going to be my first physical book that I'll be reading in this vlog. And I'm loving this. I'm eating this shit up. I literally do not want to stop reading it. I've read 142 pages so far, which again, I have no idea if 142 pages in 3 hours is considered being slow or being fast, but it's just what I was able to do. You have probably seen this cover everywhere online. I think this book came out last month and it was a lot of people's most anticipated release of 2024. With good reason, I have come to realize, because this has been so much fun to get through. This is a story about this, I was about to say this mermaid. This is a story about this vampire called Misery, who is forced into a marriage with this werewolf called Lo. But the thing about werewolves and vampires is very like Twilight, because they hate each other, they've been enemies for centuries, and essentially this wedding is kind of a way for these two societies to find peace and not go to war with each other, essentially. So she gets married to this man, but she has her own motives for getting married to him specifically. She's not this helpless bride that is just hoping that she'll fall in love with this werewolf. That's not why she marries him. She has her very own motives, which I don't know if we find out what it is in the synopsis, because I didn't know about her motive. No, we don't know what it is, but she has her own reasons to marry this man, and she does. And when she arrives at his village, at his house, she starts to do her own investigations that have something to do with this motive. But of course, they're gonna start interacting and feelings will probably arise. I am eating this up. It's fun, it's sweet, I love the characters, I love their banter, and I actually really like where the plot is going. I like how her own reasoning is starting to intertwine with his relationships within his family and his pack. Yeah, really enjoying this so far, so I am very confident that I'll be able to finish this. If not today, then definitely tomorrow. And as always, I will also have an audiobook that I'll be listening to, and for the majority of the afternoon, that's probably how I'm going to be reading. I'll probably be listening to something on my phone, because usually on Mondays I take the day to tidy up the house, to meal prep, and to like make anything I want to eat for breakfast throughout the week. Like today I'm gonna try to make a banana bread and things like that. So I'll be up and moving around my house a lot from now onwards, so I'll definitely be listening to something. I have an audiobook that I downloaded yesterday, but I'm not sure if that's going to be my audiobook of choice for this video. The audiobook that I started yesterday is Anita de Monte Laughs Last, which is by the same author that wrote Olga Dies Dreaming, I believe. And I'm not sure if I'm exactly feeling that vibe right now. I thought I was yesterday, but then today I just don't feel like picking it up. And I'm really feeling like a traditional classic whodunit thriller. So I think I'm going to look for that, browse around my library and try to find something that is kind of like that, and that's probably what I will listen to. So whenever I do have an audiobook picked out, I will update. But nevertheless, whenever I am reading, my timer will be ticking because I want the clock to keep going, because I'm starting to get stressed out that it is 12 and I still have like 9 more hours of reading to go if I intend to meet my goal for the day. So I just wanted to welcome you to this vlog. Thank you so much for being here, and let's embark in this journey together. Hi, I have an update. I have picked an audiobook to listen to as I do all of my house stuff. I decided to pick up What Lies in the Woods by Kate Alice Marshall. I saw this book on Kayla's from Books and Lala's channel last month or 2 months ago, and literally the plot from this book has lived rent-free in my brain since then. So I finally looked up the name of the book and my library had it available, so I borrowed the audiobook, and that's what I'll be listening to. So I believe this is a story about this girl who 20 or 22 years in the past, something like that, she went to the woods with her friends and she was attacked. She was stabbed 17 times, and then later she was able to like identify her attacker. She like miraculously survived. My dog is literally trying to help me right now. Anyways, she was stabbed 17 times. She survived. She identifies the killer, and the killer goes to prison, but apparently they were lying, so we are following her 20 years later, and I think she's ready to like face the truth or something like that. I should probably have read a little bit more of this synopsis before I updated you guys, but let me quickly double check. Okay, so one of her friends wants to tell the truth, and then the girl that was attacked is determined to find out what actually happened to her in the woods, because I don't think she actually remembers it that well. And yeah, that's what the book is about. I don't think she was the one that identified the killer. I think her friends identified it for her, and then she just went with it because she was like, yeah, they were there, I was stabbed, I don't remember, how did I even survive this? But apparently it wasn't true. So that's what I'll be listening to. I have a lot of work to do. This kitchen is a mess, this house is a mess, and I am going to try to meal prep. And also I want to try this recipe that I saw on Instagram of these like raspberry peanut butter chocolate bars kind of thing. So I'm gonna try that out. I'm gonna try to see if I can make a banana bread and just do a lot of shit. So hopefully I'll be able to get through this whole audiobook, because if I do, that's like 10 hours of my time, and then that'll put me at 13 hours for today. So sorry this was a little bit hectic, but let's get reading. Also, before I actually start doing anything around my house, I feel the need to come here and defend my dog, because I feel bad that I was like, she's trying to help me and I gave no context to her situation. So here's a little story time that has nothing to do with books, but it's just about an experience that we had with my dog. So a couple of years ago, we took our dog to get spayed at the vet. She went through the procedure, she was totally fine under anesthesia, but mid-surgery I get a phone call from her vet asking me, are you sure your dog goes into heat? And I was like, I'm pretty sure, since we've had dogs break into our like yard before, and she swells up and she like definitely wants it, you know? And the vet was like, that's very interesting because I've never seen this before. Your dog actually doesn't have a uterus. So It was like this big mystery at the clinic. They had like 3 vets come in and look for her uterus while she was in surgery. No one could find it. No one had any idea what could have happened to her. So she was like, we're gonna close her up and then I'll call you in a little bit once she's like fully recovered and then we can talk about it. So apparently my dog was born with a partial reproductive system. It's either that or before she was 3 months old, which is when we got her, someone attempted to spay her and did a really bad job. But what happens is she has no uterus, but she has ovarian follicles, which means that she will go through the whole heat cycle without a lot of blood and without the ability to actually get pregnant. But because those follicles are so small, the vets weren't able to like remove them to do like the full spay job. So unfortunately, she goes through these heat cycles, which make me feel so bad for her every like 7 months or 8 months or so. And it's really stressful for her. And she does try to hump, but it's literally only me. She doesn't do it with anyone else. She doesn't do it with my fiance. She just tries to go on my leg. I don't know why. I don't know why she chooses me, but I just feel so bad for her. So that's what she was doing. I don't want to sound like my dog is just like one of those dogs that just starts humping people whenever they walk in the door. It's not. The poor girl is just going through a tough time. She doesn't have a uterus. She's confused because she's still going through this unfortunate cycle. So that's my story time. Now I'm gonna get reading. I'm gonna get doing everything I have to do. So bye-bye. Hi, it's time for a little update. I am 34% of the way through with this audiobook, which means I have listened to 3 hours and 52 minutes, which puts us at almost 7 hours, pretty much 7 hours of this challenge, which I'm very happy with, honestly. So technically, I only need to do 5 more hours of reading, and we will see if that's doable. I honestly have no idea whether I can do it or not, but the good news is that I finished all of my meal prep. I have meals in the fridge, I have the banana bread in the oven, and I did do that raspberry peanut butter chocolate bar thing, which I realized did not look appetizing at all on camera, but I am hoping it's going to taste good because everything that is in it is tasty. So I'm hoping that like it'll be a more of like a taste overlook sort of situation, but I'm very excited. The banana bread smells incredible. So all I gotta do now is tidy up my house. I have clothes in the laundry that are just washing up, and then I am going to get to cleaning, and then I'll be done with everything that I wanted to do for today. So very busy afternoon, but also very productive for food and my house. So I'm gonna get going and doing that. But a quick update is that I am really enjoying the story. So far, it has kept me extremely entertained. I don't think my mind has really like wandered at all. I have just been focused listening to this. I'm curious to see how things are going to wrap up. I enjoy the main character that we are following. I enjoy what the journey that we are going through. I have some guesses as to what actually happened in the woods when they were younger, but I'm not sure whether or not they're going to be correct. I will update if my guesses are correct. But yeah, so far it's been pretty easy to get through almost 4 hours of listening to this audiobook. It hasn't felt like 4 hours, and I am enjoying myself. So we're gonna keep tidying up around the house and listening to this audiobook, and then I'll update you a little bit later, especially because my memory card just ran out of space. Also, I had a slice of the banana bread and it's so freaking good, like so good. I got the recipe from this girl on Instagram, and if I remember to put the recipe in the description because it is so good. So happy about that because now I have breakfast for the rest of the week. Hi, it is 8:26 at night and I am officially starting to feel extremely tired. I have listened to 58% of the audiobook, which is 6.5 hours. So I listened to about 30 more minutes since we last spoke. And I'm starting to feel really, really tired. I'm not gonna lie. Once I sat down to like eat dinner and um, as I was showering to get ready for bed, that's when it started to hit me. But we are going to try to get through a couple more pages of Bride by Ellie Hazelwood. I'll try to read for another hour so that way I'll be at like 10.5 hours, which is not the 12 hours I was attempting to achieve, but I feel like it's a more realistic attempt on this whole challenge thing. Again, it's my first time, so I'm trying to be gentle. I'm trying to be kind to myself. And if I don't make it to 12 hours today, it's okay. If I don't make it to 14 hours tomorrow, it's okay. We'll just split this into 3 days and it is what it is. Anyway, I'm just going to sit down and read Bride for a little bit longer. I am on page 142, so we'll see how much I'll be able to read and how many hours I'll be able to read before I eventually fall asleep, because tomorrow I have to wake up at 4:45 to work. So I'll be getting tired soon, but I'm still gonna try my absolute best. So I'll probably see you tomorrow morning, but for now, it'll be me and these two creatures that I love so much, and this puppy here. Good morning, everyone. It is clearly the next day. It's around 8:40 a.m. I just wrapped up my classes for the day, so we are about to sit down and read. I have the morning free, so my goal right now is to finish reading Bride by Ellie Hazelwood. I'm about halfway through, so I think it's very doable for me to finish it by like 12. Fingers crossed. We're gonna try our very best. I don't know where my phone currently is, but I have 14 hours and 24 minutes left of reading to do, so I didn't manage to get to 12 hours yesterday, which is okay. I still read for like 10 hours, which I'm very happy about. So I'm gonna try my very best to read for as many of those 14 hours as I possibly can, but today is a little bit busier of a day for me. I do have work to do, which I did not have yesterday, so hopefully I'll be able to get through a lot of hours. Hopefully we'll be able to finish both Bride and my audiobook today so that I can start 2 new books and hopefully read at least 3 for this readathon, because I feel like every time I see anyone doing a readathon online, they read at least 4 books. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to do that as well, but no pressure. I'm a slow reader. I'm still reading for the same amount of time. I'm just taking my own time doing so. So good morning. Let's get reading and finishing this joy of a book that is Bride. I also have a slice of banana bread right here. I warmed it up for 30 seconds in a microwave and it is perfect. You smell like you're mine? Stop. Stop. This book, I love it so much. Hi, I have a little update, which is not entirely what I was expecting my next update to be on this vlog. So here is the thing. Things didn't go exactly to plan this morning, but I feel like it was for good reason. I read for about 2 hours and 20 minutes. I read from 8:40 to 11 a.m. No stops, no breaks, just focused on reading. But then I got a text message from one of my friends from my hometown, and she had very hot small town gossip, and we just had to talk about it. So because of that, I ended up talking to her for nearly 2 hours. We stopped talking at around like 12:40. So, of course, I wasn't exactly reading at that time, but I was extremely entertained, which meant that by 12:40, I was just like, I need to get work done. I need to work around the house. So I did some cleaning and I walked my dog, and I also got some of the work that I had to get done. And I wasn't exactly reading Bride at that time. However, I am on page 358. I only have this much left of the book, so it's 100% getting read today, which was the goal anyway. Just didn't finish reading it in the morning, but I will finish it today. Fear not, I promise that I will finish that today. I did listen to my audiobook a little bit, but I will include the footage and my update on that after I finish talking about Bride, just because I don't want it to be like confusing. So know that even though I listened to this before finishing Bride, I will put the footage later. So yeah, I am on page 358. I just got a little emotional reading this book. I wasn't expecting to, but I did tear up a little bit. I didn't full on cry, but my eyes did well up a bit, which is a sign that I am enjoying this book as much as I was yesterday. I still have a little bit of work that I need to do, so I think I'm gonna pause right now, do that, and then come back and finish this book. That's my update for now. Loving this book still. Enjoying my audiobook. One of the things that I was predicting did come true, but the second thing that I was thinking that was gonna happen, I don't think it's gonna happen anymore, and I really am not sure where the story is going to go. I have two guesses, but they could be both very wrong or both very right. So I'm excited to find out. So yeah, gonna do some work, then I'll come back to this and find some time to listen to my audiobook and update you guys again. Hi. Can you tell I'm exhausted? I obviously just got off the shower and we are about to read the final pages of Bride by Ellie Hazelwood. Again, I haven't read since I last updated you guys, so still on page 158, still only about 40 pages or 38 pages left of this book, so definitely gonna get through that tonight. I listened to a little bit more of my audiobook. I currently have 35 minutes left on the audiobook, but to be honest, it has been a lot harder to get through the audiobook than read a physical book. I 100% thought it would be the opposite, but I feel like whenever I'm listening to the audiobook, my mind just feels so tired, and that's when I find myself drifting now. And when I'm reading the book, I don't really feel that way. It could be thanks to the story. I might be more into this than my audiobook. I don't know why, or I just don't want to have someone talking in my head every time I'm not physically reading a book. That could be why. I don't know. All that I know is that I'm about to finish this book, and I will talk to you tomorrow with also a time update. We are currently sitting at 7 hours and 32 minutes left. I was definitely very optimistic when I thought that I could do 12 hours each day of this week. I obviously couldn't, but it is what it is. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully I'll look a little more alive than I do right now, and that I feel right now. Hi. Can you tell I went to bed with my hair kind of wet last night? Because this is what I'm working with, and this is all I can give you at the moment, because I don't feel human right now. The good news is, though, that I finished reading Bride by Ellie Hazelwood. I ended up giving this book a solid 4 stars. This was a very fun journey from beginning to end. I had never read a paranormal romance before, unless you consider Twilight a paranormal romance, which even that I didn't read. I only read the second and third one. So this was my introduction to this genre. I had a good time. I honestly felt very entertained the whole way through this book. I feel like this is the Twilight we deserved but never got, because this was so much fun. I felt very convinced about the love that they felt for each other, but my favorite thing about this book wasn't even their relationship necessarily. There's like a mystery element to this story. There's a reason why Misery decides to marry Lo, and that reason involves a mystery. Oh, my battery's gonna die. I'll talk to you at another time. We'll come back to this. Alright, we are back. I look much more put together now. I don't feel a lot better, but I do look a little bit better. As I was saying, my favorite part about Bride by Ellie Hazelwood wasn't necessarily the relationship between her and Lo. It was mostly the mysterious element that this plot has. There is a mystery that Misery is extremely invested in solving because it involves one of the most important people in her life. And that is pretty much the reason why she decided to get into this marriage of convenience, because of her own personal reasons and because of her relation with this mystery. And I really enjoyed the way in which her relation to this mystery ties into him and how they work together to solve this. I was extremely invested in also figuring out what was at play here, who was involved, and who we could and couldn't trust. That was what I enjoyed when I was reading this book. I don't necessarily think I cared too much about their like romantic scenes, even though I enjoyed reading some of them. I will say the whole thing about him having a knot, that was just not necessary. I even tabbed one of these pages last night because I was like, he did not just fucking say that. Yeah, that whole knot situation was just not for me, but I understand that it might be part of the genre. In fact, my review of this book on Goodreads literally was, love the story, truly wish he didn't have a knot. Hopefully you can read it down there. So, still really enjoyed it. I gave this book 4 stars if I haven't said that already. And as always with Ellie Hazelwood, I had fun. It kept me entertained. It made me giggle. And I enjoyed my experience reading my first ever paranormal romance. So that was Bride by Ellie Hazelwood. After that, I still had 6 hours and 47 minutes this morning when we last spoke and my battery died. I am at 4 hours and 27 minutes left now, which is not a lot, but it has been a struggle to read today. I'm not going to lie, I have not been very motivated to read. I have been finding every excuse possible not to read, and my mind has just been a mess. I feel like I have to reread the same page over and over again. I was going to start Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake next, but this book felt like a lot of brain power, so instead I started reading Queenie by Candice Carty-Williams, which is the story about this girl that's pretty much at rock bottom. She is not in a good place in life, and because of that she starts making horrible decisions, and we're just watching that happen pretty much, especially bad decisions when it comes to men. So I got through 104 pages of this book in the time that I read. I will talk about it a little bit more later on in this video, just because I still have an audiobook to finish and I want to keep this sort of in like an order. So I have 35 minutes left of my audiobook. I still have not finished, even though I had the opportunity to. I just literally spent an hour tidying up my house and I listened to a podcast instead. Don't ask me why. I just did it. So I'm about to take my dog out on a walk and we are going to finish this audiobook, and then I'll come back and update you and then talk a little bit more about my experience with Queenie once I also read more of that. Sorry, my brain is just like words. Like I have nothing to give left, and I'm sorry if this makes absolute no sense. I feel like I don't make any sense. So yeah, I'll see you later. Bye. Just under 4 hours, I have finished my second book of this challenge. I just finished listening to the audiobook of What Lies in the Wood by... That's a good question. By Kate Alice Marshall. And I would give this book a solid 3 stars. I felt like it was entertaining. I felt like the mystery felt immersive enough. I felt like I found myself constantly going back and forth on who I thought was responsible for the crime that occurred in this book. I felt like I was often second guessing characters and trying to place them within the story, and it did keep my mind engaged for the majority of the time. I feel like towards the end we had a little too many twists, which I know it's something that a lot of readers love, but I don't always tend to love when like so many things are being thrown at you, even though I can see that within the plot those things were hinted at. I wasn't sure if the author was going to pursue everything, and then they definitely did, which was interesting. I liked the way everything played out in the end, and I don't know, I was entertained enough. It kept me guessing, it kept me reading, it kept me engaged. And that's really all that I really ask of a thriller. The reason I'm not giving a higher rating is because I felt like this book did something that has really started bothering me in books the past couple of months. Honestly, the past couple of weeks. It hasn't even been that long that has been something that bothers me, but this book did that, and it kind of got under my skin a little bit, which is a very generic and misrepresentation of OCD. I encountered that with one particular character in this book, even though it's not flat out said like she has OCD. It's hinted that this character has OCD, and I did not like the way in which it was handled in this book, which is probably why I took like half a point away. If it wasn't for that, I would probably give this book like a 3.5, but because of that, I just didn't feel like I could give it more than 3. So that's my rating. I still am glad that I read it. I feel like it was the right choice for this challenge because it was light enough that didn't demand too much brain power, but entertaining enough to keep me wanting to listen to it. So yeah, that was my experience with What Lies in the Wood. We have around 3 hours and 40 minutes left of reading to do, which is doable. It's still only 4 p.m. So I'm about to make some dinner. I'll probably choose another audiobook while I do that. I'll update you guys later on what I chose, but I'll leave you with the footage of earlier today of when I started reading Queenie.
Here's a thought. Maybe on 24-hour reading vlogs, by the end, we should just read like Matilda or Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or something like that. Because my brain is fried at the moment. I feel like I don't know. Just, I'm losing my mind, I think. And I slept. Imagine if I stayed awake. How do people stay awake for 24 hours and still manage to read? I just don't get it. I don't get it. My brain needs naps, I guess. Hi. Single digits. Walking down the street, single digits. Uh-oh, what's wrong? What's wrong is that I can't focus because I've used all of my brain power. It's the final stretch. Thank God, because I'm still losing it a little bit, so let's do this. Hello everyone, I am happy to report that I am a failure because I still have 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 37 seconds to go of this freaking 24 hours readathon. I am on page 223 of Queenie, and I have exactly 100 pages to go to finish this book. Could I read 100 pages in 1 hour? Probably not, but I'm gonna try my absolute best. I have my breakfast right here, and we are going to finally finish this thing. Sorry to disappoint.
It is what it is. We did it, Joe. The 24 hours are up, only about 2 days later than I expected. So let's finally wrap things up. My final thoughts on Queenie. I read 279 pages of this book, which means I am not quite done, but I'm pretty much done. I only have about 44 pages left, which really isn't that much. And I'm honestly really enjoying this book. I wasn't sure at first how I was going to feel. When I first started reading this book, I didn't think I was going to like it because I found myself constantly being annoyed at Queenie because this character, she is in the trenches. She is not making good decisions whatsoever. There are so many people in her life that treat her like absolute crap, and she doesn't really seem to think that is a problem. She seems to think that she either deserves it or she doesn't recognize that the way in which she's being treated is not okay. She has like a really, really bad relationship with her body and with men. Like, men are treating this woman like something that is disposable, and for whatever reason, Queenie doesn't seem to find it in herself to go against this. Everything really comes crashing down after this boyfriend that she's had for 3 years asks to go on a break. That's when she really starts like spiraling, and I found myself constantly being like, how can you possibly think that this guy loves you? But really, I had to take a step back and be like, were you that much smarter when you were 20? Because the answer is absolutely no. When I was younger, when I was around 19 to 20, I truly thought that this guy that cheated on me at a concert that I paid for us to go to loved me, and I thought he was the right person for me. So who am I to judge Queenie? Literally no one. And once I realized that, I feel like this book started being a lot more enjoyable for me, even though it's still frustrating to watch Queenie make these mistakes. You start rooting so much for her and you just want her to be okay. And you kind of like want to watch this character learn how to be kind to herself because the world really hasn't been kind to her and she's never been taught how to treat herself well and how to understand what she actually deserves. I'm not done yet, but I'm really hoping that this is the journey this character is going to go on towards the end. Yesterday, I also started listening to the audiobook of Piglet by Lottie Hazel, and I got through about 45 minutes while I made dinner. This is the story of this girl that like has recently gotten engaged and she moved into this new place with her fiance, and they're seemingly living a pretty perfect life. But 2 weeks before her wedding, she's going to discover some form of betrayal from this man, which I don't know what it is just yet, but what I do know is that once she discovers this, it is going to send her sort of like spiraling and she's going to become ravenous. Is she gonna eat people? I literally have no clue, but I'm very excited to find out. But after all of this, we need to answer the question that I started this video with, which is, how many pages am I actually able to read in 24 hours? And after spending about 10 minutes trying to calculate this, I have an answer for you. And I was able to read 1,030 pages in 24 hours, which for me is a really, really good number. I'm actually extremely happy with that amount. We finished 2 whole books. We finished reading Ride by Ellie Hazelwood as well as What Lies in the Wood by an author I keep forgetting the name of. I am pretty much done with Queenie and I read about 30 pages of Piglet. And after all of this, what are my final thoughts? My final thoughts are, how the hell do people do this without sleeping? I literally have no clue. But in all seriousness, I feel like this experience made me realize 2 main things. The first one is that like a period of 24 hours is actually a long time when you're watching the time ticking. But also, it really made me reflect on how many breaks I take when I am reading, because I feel like this week, because I had a timer constantly timing my reading, I wasn't taking as many breaks because I wanted to keep on advancing on my countdown. But it really made me realize that when I'm not doing that, when I'm not that aware of the time I'm spent reading, I stop so much, and that's something that I really want to change. I hope that if anything, this challenge forces me to force myself to read for longer periods of time, because I do feel like it is a lot better for your brain, and I feel like it allows you to immerse yourself in the story so much more than you would if you kept taking breaks to look at your phone, which was my favorite part about this challenge, even though I was ready for it to be over by the end, I'm not gonna lie. But that is gonna be it for this video. I'm actually pretty proud of how many pages I was able to read, and I'm happy that I tried this challenge. I've always wanted to do it, but I always felt self-conscious because I knew I couldn't do it without sleep. But I'm glad that I got through it my own way, and I'm excited to do more reading challenges in the future. If you've made this far in the video, please consider liking this video and subscribing to my channel, because I'm gonna be posting so many more videos this year, and I'm very excited to continue experimenting with this account. Thank you so much again for being here, and I really hope to see you on my next video. Bye bye.